Listen closely, my friends. The moment you abandon yourself to keep someone else, you have already lost the person you were supposed to protect first, yourself. You can lose a relationship and still recover. You can lose money and rebuild it. You can lose status, opportunities, even an entire chapter of your life and begin again. But when you repeatedly betray your own values just to be loved, accepted, chosen or understood, something far more dangerous happens. You slowly teach your mind that other people's approval is worth more than your own dignity. The Stoics understood a truth most people discover only after years of regret. Your relationship with yourself becomes the foundation of every other relationship you will ever have. If you abandon your principles whenever someone threatens to leave, you don't create love, you create dependency. If you silence your truth because someone might dislike it, you don't create peace, you create resentment. And if you constantly shrink yourself so someone else can remain comfortable, eventually you won't recognize the person whose approval you are trying so desperately to earn. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one." That idea goes much deeper than morality. It means your identity must be built through your own actions, not through the reactions of other people. You cannot build self-respect by begging the world to respect you. You build it privately. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, walk away from what violates your values. Admit when you're wrong. Endure loneliness instead of accepting disrespect. And choose character when nobody is there to reward you. And in this video, we're going to uncover 11 Stoic lessons for learning how to never lower yourself again. How to stop chasing people who don't value you, stop trading your boundaries for affection, stop confusing sacrifice with love, stop allowing rejection to define your worth, and most importantly, learn the difference between genuine humility and the quiet self-betrayal that disguises itself as being a good person. Because sometimes the person you call selfish for choosing yourself is simply a person who has finally stopped abandoning himself. Think of a lighthouse standing alone against a violent sea. It does not lower its light because the ships refuse to follow it. It does not move closer to the waves to prove that it cares. It simply remains what it was built to be. Your values must become that lighthouse. People may stay or leave. They may praise you or misunderstand you. They may choose you or reject you, but if every change in someone else's behavior forces you to change your worth, your standards, or your identity, then you are not standing, you are being moved. Never lower yourself for love. Never lower yourself for approval. Never lower yourself because someone failed to recognize your value. Learn to walk away without hatred, stand alone without fear, remain humble without becoming small, and love others without abandoning yourself. Because the deepest form of self-respect is not believing that you are better than everyone else. It is refusing to become less than yourself just to keep someone else in your life. Lesson 1. Never trade your dignity. The moment you trade your dignity for someone's love, you stop being loved and start being negotiated with. You may call it compromise, patience, understanding, or sacrifice, but there is a point where giving becomes self-abandonment. You forgive the same disrespect again and again because you're afraid they'll leave. You remain where you're constantly diminished because being alone feels more frightening than being undervalued. And slowly, something inside you begins to accept a terrible bargain. As long as they stay, I can tolerate becoming less of myself. Epictetus taught, know first who you are, and then adorn yourself accordingly. The deeper meaning is that your actions must come from an identity you have consciously chosen, not from the fear of losing someone. Imagine a priceless manuscript being torn apart one page at a time because someone promises to keep reading if you keep giving them pages. At some point, The question is no longer whether they appreciate the book. It is whether you are willing to destroy the book just to keep their attention. Your dignity works the same way. Every time you violate a core value for approval, you tear away another page of your own identity. This is why Stoic self-respect is different from arrogance. Arrogance says, "I am above you." Dignity says, "I will not betray myself to remain beneath you." You can apologize without becoming weak. You can compromise without abandoning your principles. You can love someone deeply without accepting treatment that destroys your self-respect. The Stoic doesn't build a throne above others. He builds a foundation beneath himself. And once that foundation is strong, affection becomes something you share, not something you beg for. Think of a bridge holding two sides of a river together. It can carry weight because its supports are anchored beneath the surface. If you keep removing pieces of its foundation every time someone complains about the bridge, eventually there will be nothing left to hold it up. Your boundaries are those foundations. They may disappoint people. They may cause someone to leave. But a boundary that costs you someone is not necessarily a failure. Sometimes it reveals that the relationship depended on your willingness to violate yourself. And here's the uncomfortable truth. The people you fear losing most can sometimes have the greatest power to make you lose yourself. Not because they are necessarily evil, but because your fear of their absence becomes stronger than your commitment to your own values. You start monitoring their mood, adjusting your words, suppressing your needs, and accepting what you once promised yourself you would never accept. That's not love becoming deeper. That's fear becoming your decision maker. So ask yourself something brutally honest. What am I tolerating because I'm afraid of what happens if I finally say no? The answer may reveal exactly where you have been lowering yourself. Stoicism does not teach you to become cold toward people. It teaches you to become loyal to your principles before your fear of losing people. Because when you can love someone without needing to possess them and walk away without needing to hate them, you discover a level of freedom that approval can never give you. Never make someone else's presence the price of your self-respect. Anyone who stays should meet the real you, not the smaller version you created to prevent them from leaving. And once you understand that, the next question becomes even deeper. What happens when the person you're trying hardest to impress is the very person who has never learned to value himself? Lesson 2. Never beg to be chosen. The moment you have to convince someone of your worth, you have already forgotten where your worth came from. You can explain yourself 100 times, become more agreeable, give more, tolerate more, and perform every version of yourself you think they might love. But affection that requires you to constantly audition for your place is not security. It is dependence disguised as hope. A person who has to keep proving why they deserve to be valued eventually forgets that they were valuable before the audition ever began. Epictetus taught, "If you wish to be a writer, write." The Stoic principle beneath that simplicity is profound. Your responsibility is to become what is worthy of your own standards, not to manipulate the audience into applauding you. Imagine a rose standing in a garden, opening beneath the morning sun. It does not run from flower to flower asking, "Am I beautiful enough for you?" It grows according to its nature. Some notice it. Some walk past it. Some may even prefer another flower. None of those reactions change what it is. This is where many people confuse being chosen with being worthy. They think if someone doesn't choose them, something must be wrong with them. But rejection is not a measurement of human value. It is often simply a collision between two preferences, two circumstances, two paths, or two lives. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself to focus on living according to virtue rather than chasing the approval of the crowd. Your task is not to become universally desirable. Your task is to become internally respectable. Think of an actor who keeps changing his entire performance every time someone in the audience whispers, "I don't like this." Eventually, he may receive applause, but he will no longer know what performance was actually his. That is what happens when you build your identity around being chosen. You become whatever gets rewarded. You laugh when you don't find it funny. You agree when you disagree. You hide your needs. You suppress your standards. And eventually, the person everyone seems to like may be the person you secretly don't recognize. The Stoic asks a different question. Did I act according to my principles? Not, did they approve? Not, did they stay? Not, did they choose me? If you acted with honesty, courage, restraint, and dignity, then you have already succeeded in the territory that belongs to you. Someone can reject your love, but they cannot make your love meaningless. Someone can reject your presence, but they cannot make your character worthless. Their decision describes their decision. It does not become your identity unless you allow it to. And there is an even deeper danger in begging to be chosen. You may eventually receive what you begged for and still feel empty. Because the real hunger was never simply for their presence, it was for proof that you were enough. But no person can permanently provide proof that your own mind refuses to accept. You can receive endless attention and still fear abandonment tomorrow. You can be admired and still feel invisible inside. External validation can temporarily silence insecurity, but only self-respect can answer it. So stop asking, "What must I become so they will choose me?" Ask instead, "What kind of person do I refuse to stop being just because they might leave?" That question changes the entire direction of your life, because when you no longer beg to be chosen, you become capable of choosing too. Choosing relationships that respect you, environments that strengthen you, and principles that remain standing even when nobody applauds. You were never supposed to spend your life auditioning for permission to exist as yourself. Build a character you can respect in silence. Let people come closer because they genuinely value who you are, not because you successfully convince them to stay. And once you stop begging for someone's choice, you are finally ready to confront the next trap. The temptation to keep giving pieces of yourself simply because you call it love. Lesson 3. Never abandon yourself. The most dangerous sacrifice is not giving up your time, comfort, or possessions. It is giving up pieces of your identity until the person you are protecting no longer exists. You start by changing small things, your opinions, your boundaries, your priorities. Then you begin swallowing words you need to say, accepting behavior you once promised yourself you would never tolerate, and calling your exhaustion love. Eventually, you look at the relationship you fought so hard to preserve and realize something terrifying. You kept them, but you lost yourself. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." That becomes painfully relevant when your thoughts begin revolving entirely around another person's approval. You wake up wondering whether they're pleased with you. You measure your words by their reactions. Their silence becomes punishment. Their affection becomes a reward. Your emotional world slowly becomes a room where someone else holds the light switch. And the more power you give them over your inner state, the more difficult it becomes to hear your own conscience. Imagine a tree that keeps cutting away its branches because the surrounding buildings complain that they block the sunlight. One branch disappears, then another, then another. Eventually, the tree has become perfectly convenient for everything around it, but it no longer resembles what it was meant to become. That is what self-abandonment looks like. You become easier to love because you become easier to control. You stop being difficult, but you also stop being fully alive. Stoicism does not ask you to become selfish. It asks you to understand the difference between sacrifice and self-destruction. Sacrifice is choosing to give something because it serves a principle you believe in. Self-destruction is giving because you are terrified that refusing will make someone leave. One comes from strength, the other comes from fear. The same action can look identical from the outside while coming from completely opposite places inside. Seneca wrote, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity." But there is another adversity people rarely recognize: the discomfort of standing alone after you finally stop betraying yourself. When you set a boundary, someone may call you difficult. When you say no, someone may accuse you of changing. When you stop chasing, someone may suddenly notice your absence. Do not mistake their reaction to your boundary for proof that the boundary was wrong. Sometimes people become uncomfortable simply because the version of you they benefited from no longer exists. And this is where self-respect becomes expensive. You may have to disappoint people. You may have to walk away without receiving an apology. You may have to let someone misunderstand you. You may even have to experience a season where choosing yourself feels painfully lonely. But loneliness is temporary. Living against your own conscience can become a permanent habit. The Stoic would rather endure the discomfort of standing alone than experience the quiet humiliation of knowing he abandoned his principles just to keep someone beside him. So ask yourself, what part of myself have I been suppressing just to keep someone comfortable? Maybe it's your voice, maybe it's your standards, maybe it's your ambition, maybe it's your boundaries. Whatever the answer is, don't recover it through anger. Recover it through discipline. Return to the person you were before you started negotiating your identity for acceptance. Because the goal was never to make everyone love you. The goal was to become someone you cannot abandon. And once you learn that, the next lesson becomes even harder. Understanding why constantly giving to people does not always make you loving. It can sometimes teach them that your boundaries have no price. Lesson 4. Never chase reciprocity. If you have to keep reminding someone how much you give just to receive the bare minimum back, you are no longer giving from love. You are giving from hunger. You start counting messages, sacrifices, favors, apologies, and sleepless nights. You notice how much you do and how little comes back. Yet you keep increasing your effort, hoping that one day your devotion will finally make someone value you. But love cannot be forced into existence through exhaustion. You can pour an ocean into someone's hands and still not make them thirsty. The Stoics understood that your actions should be governed by virtue, not by the behavior you hope to receive in return. Marcus Aurelius repeatedly returned to the idea of doing what is right without demanding applause for it. That is the difference between generosity and transaction. Generosity says, "I give because this reflects who I am." Transaction says, "I gave, therefore you owe me." The first gives you freedom. The second gives another person control over your emotional state. Imagine lighting a lamp in a dark room. The lamp does not become angry because one person refuses to look at it. Its purpose is to give light, not to force someone to appreciate the light. Your kindness should work the same way. Give because generosity belongs to your character, but don't turn generosity into a strategy for purchasing affection. If someone repeatedly takes without respecting you, the Stoic response is not to become bitter, it is to become discerning. You don't have to extinguish your kindness, you have to stop handing it to people who use it as permission to neglect you. This is where boundaries become a form of wisdom. A boundary is not a punishment, it is a statement of reality. This is what I will participate in, and this is what I will not. You can love someone and still refuse to rescue them from every consequence. You can care about someone and still stop chasing them. You can forgive someone and still decide they no longer deserve access to every part of your life. Forgiveness releases resentment. It does not automatically restore access. There is a painful truth here. Sometimes your endless giving teaches people that your needs don't matter. Not because they consciously planned to exploit you, but because you kept demonstrating that there would be no consequence for ignoring them. Every time you said, "It's okay," when it wasn't, every time you accepted less while pretending you needed nothing, you trained the relationship to expect your silence. Eventually, resentment grows. Not because you gave too much, but because you gave while secretly hoping the other person would read your unspoken needs. So stop measuring your worth by how much you can sacrifice. A person who constantly empties himself to prove he cares eventually has nothing left to give, including to himself. Give freely, but give consciously. Help without becoming someone's servant. Love without becoming someone's shadow. Support without carrying responsibilities that belong to another person. And when reciprocity disappears, don't double your effort just to keep the connection alive. Ask yourself, if I stopped overgiving today, would this relationship still have something real holding it together? The answer may hurt, but sometimes truth hurts only because it is finally removing an illusion. You don't need everyone to give as much as you do. You need to stop giving where your giving is being used to justify your own neglect. And once you stop chasing reciprocity, something even deeper becomes visible. You may discover that the person you have been trying hardest to please was never the person you needed to impress. The real battle was inside you, the belief that being needed was the same as being valued. And breaking that belief is where genuine self-respect begins. Lesson 5. Never seek validation. The moment you need someone else to confirm your worth, you give them the authority to decide how you feel about yourself. You begin checking who noticed you, who replied, who praised you, who remembered you, who chose you. At first it feels harmless, but slowly your mind starts treating attention like oxygen. When it comes, you feel powerful. When it disappears, you question yourself. And eventually, you are no longer living according to your values. You are performing for an invisible audience. Epictetus taught that we should focus on what is within our control rather than becoming disturbed by what belongs to others. Their opinions, reactions, admiration, and approval belong to them. Your character belongs to you. Imagine a compass that changes direction every time someone nearby points somewhere else. It might make everyone around it happy, but it has stopped being a compass. Your inner values must work differently. They should guide you even when nobody applauds the direction you're taking. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself that fame is temporary and public opinion changes quickly. One generation praises what another forgets. One person calls you brilliant, another calls you foolish. If your identity depends on a verdict that changes every hour, your identity will change every hour too. This is why Stoic strength is built privately. You become disciplined when nobody is watching. You keep your word when nobody can reward you. You choose restraint when anger would impress the crowd. Those moments create a form of self-respect that applause can never manufacture. Think of a mountain reflected in a moving lake. When the water is disturbed, the reflection breaks into pieces, but the mountain itself has not moved. Other people's opinions are like that water. Praise can make your reflection look magnificent. Criticism can make it look distorted. Rejection can make it disappear completely. But none of those things necessarily change the mountain. The tragedy is that many people spend their lives staring at the reflection and forgetting to build the mountain. This does not mean ignoring all criticism. Validation and wisdom are not the same thing. A mature mind can listen carefully without becoming dependent. If someone exposes a real weakness, take responsibility. If someone offers useful truth, learn from it. But if someone simply dislikes your existence, don't turn their discomfort into a verdict against yourself. The Stoic asks, "Is this true?" before asking, "Does this hurt?" That single question can save you years of unnecessary self-doubt. And there is a deeper reason validation becomes addictive. Sometimes you're not actually searching for praise. You're trying to escape the fear that you are not enough. So you collect compliments like evidence in a courtroom, hoping enough people will finally prove your worth. But tomorrow you need new evidence, then more, then more. Because external approval can temporarily quiet insecurity, but it cannot cure the belief beneath it. Only a relationship with yourself built on character can do that. So stop asking the world to tell you who you are. Ask yourself instead, would I still respect this choice if nobody ever knew I made it? If the answer is yes, you are moving toward freedom. Build a life that doesn't need an audience to feel meaningful. Let praise arrive without becoming addicted to it. Let criticism arrive without becoming destroyed by it. When your self-respect becomes internally sourced, people can influence your emotions, but they can no longer manufacture your identity. And once you stop begging the world for proof that you're enough, you uncover another dangerous habit, the tendency to stay where you are repeatedly disrespected, simply because leaving would force you to face the fear of being alone. Lesson 6. Never fear being alone. Sometimes the loneliest place in the world is not being alone. It is standing beside someone while slowly disappearing from yourself. People stay in relationships that exhaust them, friendships that humiliate them, and environments that constantly diminish them because solitude feels like a punishment. They would rather be surrounded and internally broken than alone and internally free. But Stoicism asks a more uncomfortable question. What if the loneliness you're running from is actually the space where you finally meet yourself? Seneca wrote, "Associate with those who will make a better man of you." Notice the standard. Not those who simply entertain you, not those who need you, not those who make you feel temporarily important, those who make you better. This means companionship is not automatically valuable simply because it fills an empty room. A crowded life can still be spiritually empty, while a quiet life can become the place where character is rebuilt. Imagine a tree growing on the edge of a forest. Every other tree surrounds it, but its roots remain shallow because the soil is crowded and competition for water is constant. Then one season, the surrounding trees disappear and the tree stands alone. At first, the open space looks like weakness, but now its roots can travel deeper. Sometimes separation does not destroy growth. It creates the space required for deeper roots. Solitude can do the same to the human mind when you stop treating it as evidence that nobody wants you. The Stoics valued the ability to remain internally steady without constantly requiring external company. That doesn't mean becoming antisocial or rejecting love. It means refusing to use another human being as medicine for a wound you have never learned to face yourself. If you cannot sit alone without immediately reaching for distraction, attention, or another person's presence, then silence is revealing something important. Your discomfort may not be about loneliness. It may be about what becomes audible when everyone else becomes quiet. And this is where the lesson becomes painful. Some people are not afraid of losing the relationship. They are afraid of meeting themselves after the relationship ends. They fear the empty room, the unanswered phone, the weekend with no plans, the absence of someone to blame or impress. So they return to what hurts simply because what hurts is familiar. But familiarity is not safety. Sometimes it is simply a cage you've memorized. Learning to stand alone changes the way you love. When you no longer need someone to rescue you from yourself, you can choose companionship from strength instead of desperation. You can say, "I want you in my life," without secretly meaning, "I cannot survive without you." That difference is enormous. The first is love. The second can become dependence disguised as devotion. So don't romanticize loneliness, but don't fear it either. Use it, read in it, think in it, rebuild in it. Discover what you believe when nobody is influencing the answer. Let solitude reveal whether your life has an identity beyond the people who occupy it. Because when you become comfortable standing alone, you stop accepting anyone merely because they prevent you from feeling alone. And that creates a new kind of power. You can finally leave what diminishes you without believing that leaving means you have lost everything. You realize that losing someone is painful, but losing yourself to keep them is far more expensive. And once you can stand alone, the next lesson becomes even deeper. Never let rejection turn into a verdict against your own worth. Lesson 7. Never let rejection define you. Rejection hurts most when you mistake someone's decision for a revelation about your worth. Someone doesn't choose you, and suddenly your mind begins constructing a story. I'm not enough. I'm not attractive enough. I'm not successful enough. Maybe I'll never be loved. But notice what happened. The other person made one decision, and your mind turned it into an identity. The rejection lasted a moment. The sentence you wrote about yourself can last for years. Epictetus taught that we are disturbed not simply by events, but by the judgments we make about them. Rejection is the perfect example. Someone walking away is an event. Therefore, I am worthless is a judgment. Someone saying no is a fact. Nobody will ever say yes to me is a prediction. The Stoic does not pretend rejection doesn't hurt. He refuses to let pain become evidence against his own existence. Imagine two keys trying to open the same lock. One key doesn't fit. Does the key suddenly become worthless? No. It simply means that particular lock was not made for that key. Yet people do something far more cruel to themselves. They experience one person's inability to love them, understand them, or choose them, and conclude that something is fundamentally wrong with them. But compatibility is not a universal measurement of worth. One closed door cannot tell you the value of the person standing outside it. Marcus Aurelius repeatedly returned his attention to virtue rather than reputation. That distinction becomes powerful when rejection arrives. If you behaved honestly, loved sincerely, respected your principles, and did not betray yourself, then someone else's decision cannot erase the quality of how you acted. You can lose someone's affection without losing your character, and character is the territory that actually belongs to you. Sometimes rejection is even a form of protection that you cannot recognize while you're grieving. The opportunity you desperately wanted may have demanded a version of you that would eventually destroy your peace. The person you wanted to keep may have required you to become smaller to remain beside them. The door you begged to open may have led somewhere your future self would have desperately wanted to escape. Not every closed door is punishment. Some are redirection disguised as loss. But don't use that idea to avoid responsibility. If rejection reveals something you genuinely need to improve, improve it. If your behavior was careless, become more disciplined. If your communication was poor, learn to communicate. Self-respect does not mean declaring yourself perfect. It means refusing to turn imperfection into self-hatred. You can say, "I was wrong," without saying, "I am worthless." You can grow without destroying the person who needs to grow. So when someone rejects you, let yourself feel the pain, but interrogate the story your mind attaches to it. Ask, what actually happened and what am I adding to it? Take the lesson, keep your dignity, release the verdict. Because the moment you stop treating rejection as proof that you are not enough, you become free to improve without desperation and love without begging. Someone's inability to recognize your value does not reduce your value. A diamond does not become ordinary because someone mistakes it for glass. And once you understand that, you are ready for an even deeper battle, learning how to stop using comparison as a weapon against yourself. Lesson 8. Never compare your journey. Comparison becomes dangerous the moment you use someone else's visible life to measure your invisible battles. You see their success, but not the years of failure behind it. You see their confidence, but not the nights they spent doubting themselves. You see the finished building and compare it to your own foundation, then wonder why your life feels behind. But you are judging your entire journey against a single photograph from someone else's. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do not waste what remains of your life in speculating about your neighbors." That is more than advice about curiosity. It is a warning about misplaced attention. Every minute spent obsessing over someone else's progress is a minute removed from the only life you can actually improve. Yours. Comparison takes the eyes away from your road and places them on someone else's destination. Imagine two mountains rising from opposite sides of a valley. One receives sunlight first in the morning, the other remains in shadow for hours. From below, you might think one mountain is stronger because it is illuminated while the other appears dark. But the mountain has not become weaker because sunlight reached it later. Different heights, different angles, different seasons, yet both are still becoming what they were meant to become. Human lives work the same way. Timing is not a verdict. The Stoic does not ask, "Why am I not where they are?" He asks, "Am I becoming better than the person I was?" That question returns power to the territory you control. You may not control another person's talent, opportunities, appearance, wealth, relationships, or timing. But you control whether you become more disciplined, more courageous, more honest, more patient, and more capable than you were yesterday. Your real competition is not another person's life. It is the distance between your current character and your potential character. And comparison becomes especially poisonous when it turns another person's success into evidence of your failure. Someone else getting the opportunity does not mean yours disappeared. Someone else being loved does not mean you are unlovable. Someone else's progress does not subtract from your possibility. There is no universal scoreboard measuring human worth. The moment you understand that, another person's victory can become inspiration instead of humiliation. But there is a deeper trap. Sometimes comparison doesn't make you feel inferior, it makes you feel superior. You look at someone struggling and think, at least I'm better than them. That is still comparison. The direction changed, but the dependence remained. If your self-worth requires someone beneath you or ahead of you, then your worth is still being measured externally. Stoic strength means building a standard that does not rise and fall with the position of other people. So look at your own life with brutal honesty, but without contempt. Where were you 6 months ago? What did you tolerate then that you would never tolerate now? What fear have you faced? What discipline have you built? What weakness have you begun to overcome? Those are the measurements that matter. Progress doesn't always look like a victory. Sometimes progress is simply refusing to return to the person you worked so hard to outgrow. Stop asking whether you are ahead of someone else. Ask whether you are still moving forward. Your path does not become less meaningful because someone reached their destination first. And once you stop competing with lives you were never meant to live, you gain the attention required for something far more important. Building standards so strong that you no longer need anyone else's approval to know you're living correctly. Lesson 9. Never beg for respect. The deepest form of self-respect is knowing when your presence has become a place where someone feels entitled to diminish you. You can explain your boundaries. You can communicate your pain. You can give someone the opportunity to correct themselves. But there comes a moment when repeating your worth to someone committed to ignoring it becomes another form of abandoning yourself. You cannot negotiate someone into respecting a boundary they benefit from crossing. Epictetus taught, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Think about the depth of that. Freedom isn't simply being able to walk wherever you want. It is being able to say no without collapsing from guilt. It is being able to leave without needing revenge. It is being able to hear disrespect without immediately becoming disrespectful yourself. When another person's behavior can force you to betray your own principles, they have gained control over you, not because they are stronger, but because you surrendered your inner authority. Imagine a king who abandons his throne every morning to stand outside the palace gates, begging strangers to confirm that he is still king. The crown would become meaningless the moment his identity depended on their approval. Your dignity works the same way. If you constantly need someone to tell you that you deserve respect, you are placing your authority in their hands. Real self-respect is quieter. It doesn't announce itself. It appears in the decisions you make when disrespect gives you an opportunity to either betray yourself or walk away. Marcus Aurelius faced insult, betrayal, political pressure, and personal loss. Yet his philosophy repeatedly returned to one idea: you are responsible for the character of your response. Someone can speak badly about you, but they cannot force you to become bitter. Someone can disrespect you, but they cannot force you to abandon your values. Someone can underestimate you, but they cannot determine the quality of your work. Their behavior belongs to them. Your response reveals you. But don't confuse self-respect with dramatic exits or endless confrontation. Sometimes the strongest response is not a speech, it is distance. You don't need to prove that someone treated you badly by destroying them. You don't need revenge to validate your pain. You can simply remove your presence from what repeatedly violates your principles. The door doesn't need to slam. Sometimes it only needs to close. And here's the twist. The moment you stop begging for respect, you become capable of giving people the freedom to reveal who they really are. You stop trying to manage their behavior. You stop explaining the same boundary 10 times. You stop turning every violation into a debate. You observe, you decide, you act. That is Stoic power, not controlling another person's character, but refusing to let their character dictate yours. Ask yourself, how many times have I explained my worth to someone who had already shown me they were unwilling to honor it? If the answer hurts, let it teach you. You don't need to become harder. You need to become clearer. Keep your heart, but strengthen your standards. Stay compassionate, but stop confusing compassion with permission. Respect that has to be begged for is already telling you something. And when you finally understand that your dignity does not require another person's permission, you become ready for the final lesson, the one that determines whether all this self-respect will survive when life becomes difficult. Never betray yourself when nobody is watching. Lesson 10. Never betray yourself. There is a version of self-betrayal that looks so reasonable from the outside that you may not even recognize it as betrayal. You keep one promise to yourself less important because someone needs you. You break one boundary because you don't want conflict. You abandon one goal because people around you don't understand it. One compromise becomes another, until one day you realize you have become extremely good at keeping everyone else's promises while repeatedly breaking your own. That is how a person loses himself, not in one dramatic moment, but through thousands of tiny permissions. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Your life is an expression of all your thoughts. But your life is also an expression of the promises you repeatedly keep or break." Imagine a bank account that loses one coin every day. No single withdrawal looks significant. You barely notice it. But years later, the account is empty. Self-trust works the same way. Every time you tell yourself, "I will do this," and then repeatedly abandon your word, you make a small withdrawal from your own trust. Eventually, you stop believing yourself, and when you don't trust yourself, even your strongest ambitions become fragile. Stoicism teaches that character is built through action, not intention. You can tell yourself you are disciplined, strong, loyal, courageous, or principled, but your character is revealed when those qualities become expensive. It is easy to respect yourself when doing the right thing costs nothing. The real test begins when keeping your principles costs you comfort, attention, money, approval, or companionship. That is the moment your philosophy stops being something you quote and becomes something you actually live. Think of a compass buried beneath layers of magnetic metal. The needle still knows where north is, but the interference keeps pulling it in different directions. Your values are that needle. Every time you live against them to satisfy someone else, the interference becomes stronger. Eventually, you don't know whether a decision came from your conscience or your fear. This is why knowing your principles isn't enough. You must practice them when it would be easier not to. And self-betrayal often hides behind beautiful words. I'm just being understanding. I'm keeping the peace. I'm giving them another chance. I don't want to hurt anyone. Sometimes those things are genuinely compassionate, but sometimes they're simply fear wearing the clothes of kindness. If keeping peace requires you to destroy your own peace every time, that is not peace, it is surrender. If forgiveness requires you to repeatedly expose yourself to the same harm, that is not wisdom, it is the absence of a boundary. The Stoic does not promise himself perfection. He promises himself honesty. If you fail, admit it. If you fall, return. If you make the wrong choice, correct it. Self-respect is not built by never making mistakes. It is built by refusing to lie to yourself about them. Every time you keep a small promise, enforce a necessary boundary, finish something difficult, or choose your principles over temporary approval, you send yourself a message. My word means something. And that message, repeated long enough, becomes confidence. So tonight, ask yourself the question most people avoid. Where in my life am I asking other people to respect a version of me that I repeatedly betray in private? Maybe you know what you need to stop. Maybe you know what you need to begin. Maybe you have been waiting for permission that was never going to come. You don't need a dramatic transformation. Start with one promise. Keep it, then another. Rebuild yourself through evidence. Because the strongest relationship you will ever have is the one you have with the person you become when nobody is watching. Never lower yourself. Never abandon yourself. Never trade your principles for temporary acceptance. People may leave, circumstances may change, and the world may misunderstand you. But if you can look at yourself in silence and know, I did not betray who I am, then you possess something no one else can give you and no one else can take away. Self-respect that has become part of your character. Lesson 11. Never lose yourself to love. The highest form of self-love is not telling yourself that you are worthy. It is refusing to live in ways that make you feel unworthy of yourself. Anyone can say, I love myself, when life is easy. The real test comes when loving yourself costs you something, when walking away means being alone, when saying no means disappointing someone, when telling the truth means losing approval, and when choosing your peace means releasing a person you desperately wanted to keep. That is where self-love stops being a phrase and becomes character. The Stoics never taught that you should worship yourself or place yourself above others. Their philosophy was far more demanding. Live according to reason, virtue, and what is within your control. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself to return to his own nature and purpose, rather than being dragged around by the judgments of others. That is the deepest meaning of never lowering yourself. You don't need to believe you are better than anyone. You simply refuse to become worse than your own principles because someone else demands it. Imagine a ship that changes its destination every time another vessel sends a signal. One ship says, "Come this way." Another says, "Turn back." Another says, "You should be going north." Eventually, the ship may travel thousands of miles without ever arriving anywhere, because it has no destination of its own. Many people live like this. One person's approval changes their direction. Another person's rejection changes it again. A relationship changes their identity. A criticism changes their confidence. They are constantly moving, but they are not actually living by a chosen direction. This is why the final form of self-respect is self-loyalty. Not stubbornness, not ego, not refusing to change. Self-loyalty means you are willing to grow without abandoning your core. If you discover that you're wrong, you correct yourself. If you're weak, you train yourself. If you're immature, you mature. But you don't reshape your entire identity simply because someone else cannot appreciate the person you're becoming. Growth should change your weaknesses, not erase your soul. Seneca wrote, "He who is brave is free." Think about what that means in the context of self-respect. You need courage to walk away from what you desperately want. You need courage to disappoint people who benefited from your silence. You need courage to sit alone rather than return to what destroyed your peace. You need courage to choose long-term dignity over short-term comfort. Sometimes the strongest act of love toward yourself is doing the thing your fearful self is begging you not to do. And perhaps this is the deepest realization of all. You cannot control whether someone loves you, stays with you, understands you, or recognizes your value. But you can control whether you abandon yourself trying to make them do it. That is the boundary between love and self-erasure. Love can ask you to compromise. Life can ask you to sacrifice. But neither should require you to become a stranger to your own conscience. So from this point forward, don't measure self-love by how beautiful your words about yourself sound. Measure it by your decisions. Do you keep your promises to yourself? Do you protect your peace? Do you leave what repeatedly violates your values? Do you accept correction without accepting humiliation? Do you love others without making yourself disappear? Those answers reveal your relationship with yourself far more honestly than any affirmation ever could. Because one day, every external voice becomes quiet. The people you tried to impress will move on. The person you begged to stay may become a memory. The approval you chased will eventually mean less than you thought, and you will still have to live with yourself. Make sure the person waiting for you in that silence is someone you did not betray for temporary love, temporary attention, or temporary acceptance. Never lower yourself, not because you are above anyone, but because you have finally understood that your character is too valuable to be traded for belonging. Love deeply, give generously, forgive wisely, stay humble, but never abandon the person you are responsible for protecting for the rest of your life, yourself. At the end of all these lessons, the deepest truth is simple. You can lose people, lose opportunities, lose comfort, lose approval, and still rebuild. But the moment you lose yourself trying to keep someone else, you lose the foundation from which everything else can be rebuilt. Stoicism does not teach you to become cold or selfish. It teaches you to become so grounded in your values that love cannot make you weak. Rejection cannot define you, loneliness cannot control you, and another person's opinion cannot rewrite your identity. So remember these 11 lessons when life puts you in a position where you must choose between being accepted and being true to yourself. Don't beg to be chosen. Don't trade dignity for affection. Don't abandon your values for temporary peace. Don't measure your worth through comparison, validation, or someone else's ability to recognize it. Stand alone when you must, walk away when you should, stay humble when you succeed, and when you make a mistake, correct yourself without destroying yourself. Because real self-love is not looking in the mirror and convincing yourself that you're perfect. It is keeping faith with yourself when nobody else does. It is becoming someone whose own conscience feels safe in their presence. And one day, when the people you tried to impress are gone, when the relationship you fought to save is only a memory, and when the noise of everyone else's opinions finally disappears, you'll be left with one question. Did I remain myself? If the answer is yes, then you didn't lose. You finally learned the most important Stoic lesson of all. Never lower yourself just to be loved by someone who requires you to become less.